Welcome to Conversations with Friends. I'm Meredith, and I just love this series because I get to introduce you to some old friends, and then I meet new friends along the way, and all with the thought that these are people who are making an impact in their communities, in the world, with their creativity, with their compassion, with the work that they do. And this is fun for me, and I hope it's fun for you to try to join us every other week to meet some of these very interesting people. So I have a very interesting guest tonight, and I want to introduce you to a longtime friend. You know, a lot of people don't like that term old friend. Nobody likes to call the old friend, but my longtime friend is Joyce Thornburg. And Joyce was working at the Miami Herald 30-something years ago in advertising. And I was working at WLRN TV, where I worked for over 35 years. We met, we connected, we ended up taking some incredible trips together. And Joyce is all about creativity. And that's what tonight's topic is about. Tonight's topic is about her and her work and her accomplishments, but also about how we can bring out, hopefully she's going to give us a little advice on how we can bring out the creativity in ourselves that we don't even know we have. Joyce, welcome.
Thank you.
And Joyce, I just want to say that I have watched you grow over the years. That's the amazing thing. You were working in advertising when we met and, connected. And it wasn't really until much later, right, that you really discovered your artistic talent. I mean, you had talent, you knew that. But what happened along the way where you started to flourish as an artist, a visual artist?
I've been an artist since I could hold a crayon in my hand as a child.
Mm.
I always did it, but I did it, as a weekend. I was a weekend artist, or I kind of backburnered it. It was because I was in the corporate world. That took a lot of energy. It was creative, but it wasn't the kind of creativity that I was really yearning to do. So it was always there from childhood. It wasn't suddenly something that I decided I wanted to pursue. But when I did take early retirement from my job at the Herald, it was after a 40-year career.
Wow.
I was just, excuse my language, but hell bent on doing what I wanted to do. And I don't think of it in terms of being talented enough. I just knew it was nothing I wanted more than to do art full time. I had backburnered that passion for too long. And so I just really wanted to do it. So it just happened. It happened in the doing. That's all I can say. It just happened in the doing. I started doing it in my house when I moved to Asheville, but very quickly I was out into the art community. And it was about a year, maybe two, that I got a studio with some other artists, and the rest is history. I mean,
a lot of history. I was reading about how many shows you've had, exhibitions, workshops, classes all over North Carolina and some other states. I know South Florida as well. I think I read that. I read different places that you've been, but it sounds like you are so can we say as an artist, productive, that you just don't stop painting. You call yourself compulsive, I read.
Yeah.
Is that true?
That's very true. It's very true, because it's just a second nature to me. And compulsive meaning that I really just need to express myself that way. I'm always with a pen or pencil or brush in my hand, and we call it doodling, which may turn into something that somebody else will relate to and want to purchase. I pretty much put everything out for sale. And it's not because I'm trying to so much, the monetary part of that, but, people come into my studio that can't afford a large, high priced item, but they might be able to afford a little drawing. And that thrills me that I can make that available. And so that's kind of what I term success, more than like monetary success or, I don't really, I'm not in gallery. My main source of meeting people and really making my art move is in my studio, because it's a working studio and gallery. And I've been very fortunate that I have found patrons that way that come back and purchase from me, but it's more from coming to physically see me. And I think they love that. aspect of
The experience of being
right,
with you, you mean?
exactly. Seeing where
And
I work, how I work, how messy I am, but it just makes it real. It just makes it more real.
it doesn't seem like it's difficult for you. It's not like you have, like, well, they say art writer's block. It's not like you have artist block where you say, I just can't do it today. I've talked with artists who say that they're not in the mood. They'd rather go to the beach. They'd rather do something else. And you don't seem to have that, do you?
I actually, it is painful for me not to be able to do my artwork.
Yeah.
Even on vacation, I found a way. Stayed with a dear friend who is an artist, and I didn't want to encroach on her territory, but I had one little corner of her art table, and I produced piece after piece after piece because it's part of me. I just have to do it.
So it's really kind of, is it an experience for you as you paint, as you work? Is it something where you just go into another state, a kind of a meditative state, or?
I think the more you do it, I mean, I call it mark making, but I'll doodle, I'll make marks, and I know how certain materials work with each other now, and I just find it so interesting. And I've done a lot of works on paper, which involves some oil pastel and graphite, and I'm kind of thinking, maybe even meditating as I do it, and it just evolves. And that's the intuitive part, that I don't have a preconceived idea of what I want to do. When I started, I was very much more of a folk artist, and I paint from photographs, or I paint from, magazine, whatever. I don't do that now. It's all inside.
Well, one thing that I notice as I'm looking at your art, and I see a lot of faces, and you are known for your, how do we call them? Interesting, kind of way out faces, right? But there is something about your experience with faces, and I was wondering if you could kind of describe what it is you're trying to do when you paint these really unusual, fascinating faces. Are these people you see? You know these people?
No, I don't know them. I think it's never well, I'll just go to this one, for instance. I was in a show that was doing, all the artists did their interpretation of Klimt's The Kiss, and that's my piece that you're looking at there, which did sell. And that was a challenge, but it was also a lot of fun. And I have been in other shows that have a theme. This is something I did during this abstract I did during COVID, and I did it at the house because my studio outside was actually shut down. But I created a big piece of art and posted it, sold it. Same here. I did this painting, and one of my main poetry teacher wrote a 3-page poem to that painting. So there's a lot of cross pollination, between writers and visual artists, and which I find.
Yeah, I'm just kind of like amazed at just this sort of the look that you're able to create, like a certain feeling about seeing these. I would call them more characters, right?
They're kind of alien. This is fully.
And I love your landscapes. I just love your landscapes.
Really?
Yeah, and I see a face in your landscape, though,
Well,
right?
sometimes I do as well. Like
hidden faces in there. I see a few. Yeah.
I don't in that one, but
Oh, I thought I saw one in the middle. The middle. You sure about that, or is that my own
I
imagination?
can probably find it if I keep looking.
Yeah.
It just really kind of happens. But the more art you do, the more you pick up from other artists, you get into this painterly language. I love making marks. This piece is huge. This was a room divider that a fellow artist just gave me, and I turned it into, it's like 48 by 6. It's huge. I don't even know the exact dimensions of it, but it's very large, and hopefully it will find a home. But it's certainly a great conversational piece.
Yeah. And it doesn't sound to me like you have to really worry about selling. I mean, artists, let's face it, artists struggle, and an artist could be so great. And it's, I've interviewed other artists who really do find it very difficult to make a living. Now, I mean, maybe the difference is you did retire. And so, maybe that's made it easier for you. But do you have any advice for, well, let's say first, do you have advice for people who feel that they do have some creativity, but they haven't tapped into it? What should they do?
Do it. I mean, I just say, drop the fear, drop your idea of being perfect, and just do what moves you. You know, if it's just a certain color, just start playing around with it and just see what happens. And I've seen this happen to people who come into my studio, and they'll come back and they say, you really inspired me, and this is what I've done. And I love that. I just, that's so gratifying. That's more gratifying than any big dollar amount that I might make, you know, on a painting. And there's one couple, they're in Atlanta now, but I think they were in Winston-Salem, which is my hometown. Ironically, that they became great patrons and have like 3 or 4 of my pieces. And she was inspired to start doing some artwork on her own, and she shared that with me. And I just, that is so gratifying.
So you're not just helping yourself, but you really are helping those that maybe need a little push. And maybe, like you're saying, it's kind of like journaling. People think they can't write, and then they find out they really can. And you're one of them, aren't you? Not from journaling, but you're also a writer, which you probably were somewhat. As
I think I was a little, even, you know, in my corporate life, that was the part I enjoyed most, really, was doing presentations, business letter, whatever. I really am drawn to the written word. But it takes, I think, a daily practice, like meditation. You know, if you let that go, it's hard to pick up the thread, which I have learned the hard way. It is, you know, it's not easy when you let it go. So I never let it go. I will do art every day, and I do something in the realm of poetry every day, even if it's just reading other poets, or kind of working with something that that I've started to generate. But it's a way of life for me. Creativity is truly a way of life. It's a way of coping, but it is a way, I think, also of giving back. And even though, you know, I think it, beyond any kind of material or monetary success, is just being able to give back in ways that will help local charities. I've done things for Mana Food Bank. I've done things, which is a local food bank. I've done things for different charity organizations, you know, animal shelters. And because they're always asking the artist community to get involved and donate a piece of their work, and then the proceeds will go to them. And I've done quite a bit of that over the years, and that's extremely gratifying.
That is, because you're able to use your talent to help the community, as you're saying, to really, you reach out and you do make a difference, because, you know, especially these nonprofits, they depend upon people to say, I'll help. And, you know, when you help, you realize you are making an impact. And if everybody starts to help, I want to talk, we might go back to your art, because this is so interesting, but I do not want to leave this interview without talking about our life together at the meditation center.
Absolutely.
It was 37, going on 37 years ago, Joyce. Can you believe it? That you and I were one of the very first students at the Brahma Kumari's Meditation Center. How we ended up there, and, you know, we're going there regularly. It's kind of amazing. And so I was just wondering if you could maybe say a few words about your memories with the BK Center, and then we can talk about our adventures in India meditating. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I think for me, it started as I just wanted a way to relieve stress, because I was in a very stressful job. Meredith, as you know, we know how media can be very stressful. I loved it. I thrived on it. The more I had going, the more happier I was. But in discovering the meditation, it kind of got me out of myself. And I was thinking in terms, you know, expanding my horizons, if you will. So it was greatly beneficial at the time I got involved in it. And I've fallen off the wagon quite a few times. A regular
It happens.
It happens.
It's not unusual. Yeah.
I'm kind of back onto that, because I realized the benefit. The benefit is so great, and just gaining perspective and not letting yourself get caught up in that treadmill of negative thoughts or worried thoughts. It's it works. That's all I can say.
It really does. And, you know, we didn't really know in those early years either. I mean, or I'll speak for myself. I didn't know that it was going to make such an impact. And like you say, you know, you went because you were stressed. Somebody I worked with, I was doing a live show, said, Meredith, we have to go meditate. Robert Lopez, if you remember him, I don't know.
I do, yeah.
And he said, we have to go meditate. And I said, what? And I wasn't interested at all, you know, at the time. And he said something to me like, it's for your life. And I realized inside that I was missing something. I didn't even know what I was missing in my life. And I went, and you went I think the same month. We were all there, and there were quite a few of us, but we were all, did you feel in a way that we were doing something that it wasn't in then, you know, we're talking about in the, you know, what, early 80s, right? Yeah. Would you say it was definitely not everywhere like that? You know, doctors tell you to meditate today, psychologists tell you to meditate, teachers tell you to meditate. Would you say we were kind of like in the minority then?
Yeah, we were pioneers in our own right. We really were. Yeah, we were.
And it was fun. I just cherish, you know, those memories of the times we spent together. And I want to say one more thing about this. A couple more things is that you and I said, okay, a few years into this, we're going off to India to the headquarters for the Brahma Kumaris. So we were one of the first from the center. Yeah. And Veronica, who's still there as our head of our center, she okayed that we could go and take that journey to India, to Madhavan. And all I can tell you is I remember your face, the happiness that you felt. You were running around like you couldn't stop taking pictures. So,
oh, yes. Yeah.
I would say calm down.
That was the artist in me. I could not stop. You're right.
Yeah, you couldn't stop. I would go to sleep and you'd be out there. And we don't have many pictures. I'm sure they're around, but here we are in India. And we looked a little different. And I guess, I don't know, do we look more relaxed after being there at meditation? It was an incredible experience. So when you look back, what would you say that experience was for you?
Oh my gosh. Well, I've always been, I love the exotic. And I
this
love
is Nepal. I don't want to interrupt, but this is us and Marie, who since
we were in
away, our wonderful
we were in
Marie.
Nepal.
Then we went to Nepal. Yeah. Another time. Right. Yeah.
And that was Madhavan. That was actually
in India, the headquarters of the Brahma Kumaris. Yeah. So what was your experience when you look back?
Gosh. Well, there, I think I was just caught up in the feeling of being so far away and just exotic moments of, you know, getting up at 4 a.m. and walking through this misty, foggy morning air and hearing, you know, the broadcasted yoga chants and cowbells and things that you don't hear. I certainly didn't hear when I was in Miami or, you know, now Asheville, certainly not. But it was just being in such a different world. And it's been with me forever. Like I said, I've written quite a few things about it, and maybe I can't share them here, but Meredith, I'd be happy to share some with you. I think
I would love to read them, but I think you said you had one poem here that you could maybe read, or a little bit of one right now that you might.
Absolutely, short enough, and I think it kind of goes along with our talk. So
oh, okay. So
let me know.
You have it now? Yeah, take it. Yeah,
I do. And this I've kind of worked on to rewrite more to you know, for it to be a better poem. You know, that's one thing I've learned from all the poetry webinars that I've been doing, is that you write to really serve the poem and try to get your thoughts and feelings. That's not as important as the poem itself, but this is definitely something that I think you will relate to, because it was our experience. It's called Elegy for India. To return home with India's indelible mark is to know cowbells and yogi chants on a single sound wave. To trust the alchemy of jasmine and sandalwood, cow dung and urine. To inhale the stench of burning flesh and burning trash in one nostril, rosewater and cardamom in the other. To sip fresh brewed chai and to taste spicy lentils on my tongue. to hear honking horns and laundry pounded on river rocks, to feel the cold water of a bucket bath as I soak in a warm bubble bath at home. You can leave India, but India will never leave you, I was told the day I left India.
Joyce, that brings back so many memories. That is beautifully said, beautifully written. I thank you for sharing that.
Well, thank you for letting me share it, and with someone who shared the experience. Yeah, and there'll be more. I'll send you some more.
Yeah, please do.
More about the meditation experience. And
yeah, and like I said earlier, I'll never, ever forget the joy that I saw on your face as you were running around and just never stopping and wanting to take a picture of everything, you wanted to experience everything. And that says a lot about you, you know, the way you just embrace everything with such exuberance and excitement. And this is such a pleasure to get to be here with you and interview you and talk to you and also see how you've grown and evolved over many years. You know, we're all on these journeys and we all journey in different ways, and you've, you know, done it so beautifully and with so much creativity and determination, I would say.
A long way to go, but I think secrets just keep going. Just do it. Do it. Embrace the experiences, even though all of them may not be, you know, perfect, but they're all fodder. They're fodder for our creativity and fodder for our growth as human beings.
This was a pleasure getting to interview you, and I thank you so much for taking the time. Now you can go back to your, as you say, your compulsive painting where you don't stop. So thank you for breaking away from your work. And I also, just want to tell you how special you have been in my life and in the life of many of the Brahma Kumaris that have known you for so long. Everybody wants to see you and talk to you. So hopefully I'll get to see you soon. You'll come to Miami, or I'll take a trip up to North Carolina. Thank you so much. And I also want to thank Nita Saxena. Nita is our technical director and director of many, many activities at the Brahma Kumaris Meditation Center. And we can't get our work done without Nita. So thank you so much, Nita. Thank you, Joyce. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Give my love to all of my
I will.
all of my old friends there.
Thanks.